Good morning and welcome to the class. So, the topic which we are going to study today is multiple intelligences, and it was given by Howard Gardner. And it is related to the subject educational psychology as well as secondary or senior secondary education. So, today we are going to understand what is the concept of multiple intelligence, and the learning outcomes will be to understand the types and the concept of multiple intelligences. As earlier, we used to believe that there is only single factor of intelligence, but Gardner tried to prove that there are multiple intelligence, and there can be multiple intelligence in one person also. So it helps to improve students' learning skills following a student based approach, to offer students a better learning environment, to identify the need to change our way of teaching. So, what is basically intelligence? So, the study of intelligence can be dated back to 1800s when Sir Francis Galton, he was the cousin of Charles Darwin, became one of the first person to study about the concept of intelligence, and he was interested particularly in knowing about the gifted individuals. So he created a lab to measure reaction times and other physical characteristics to test his hypothesis that intelligence is a general mental ability that is a production of biological evolution. So Galton actually tried to find out more about the intelligence part, and there are many researchers who have given different concepts of intelligence. So according to Woolfolk, he says that ability or the abilities to acquire and use knowledge for solving problems and adapting to the world can be known as the intelligence. And most early theories about the nature of intelligence involved one or more of the following three themes: the capacity to learn, the total knowledge of a person which he has acquired, or we can say the ability to adapt themselves successfully to new situations and to the environment in general. So we can say that intelligence is related to various concepts. It is not only related to a general ability concept, but there can be more than one intelligences also. So multiple intelligences theory is a theory of actually human intelligence, and it was first proposed by the psychologist Howard Gardner in his famous book Frames of Mind, the theory of multiple intelligences, which he wrote that book in 1983. And at its core, it is the proposition that individuals have the potential to develop a combination of eight separate intelligences, and the ninth one, which is the existential intelligence, was given by him in later years. And there are different spheres of intelligence. He said that proposition is that individuals cognitive capacity cannot be represented adequately in a single measurement, such as we cannot just give an IQ score to find out that what is intelligence. Rather, because each person manifests varying levels of separate intelligences, a unique cognitive profile would be a better representation of individual strengths and weaknesses according to this theory. So it is important to note that within this theory, every person possesses all intelligences in certain degrees. So he said that in order for a cognitive capacity to qualify as an independent intelligence rather than as a subskill or a combination of other kinds of intelligence. So it must meet the eight specific criteria. So, first, it must be possible to thoroughly symbolize that capacity by using a specific notation that conveys its essential meaning. Second, neurological evidence must exist that some area of the brain is specialized to control that particular capacity. Third, case studies must exist that show that some subgroups of people, such as child prodigy, if we say, exhibit an elevated mastery of a given intelligence. Fourth, the intelligence must have some evolutionary relevance through history and across cultures. Fifth, the capacity must have a unique developmental history for each individual, reflecting each person's different level of mastery of it. Sixth, the intelligence must be measurable in psychometric studies that are reflective of differing levels of mastery across intelligences. And seventh, the intelligence must have some definite set of core operations that are indicative of its use. Last, the proposed intelligence must be already plausible on the basis of existing means of measuring intelligence. So Gardner's original theoretical model included seven separate intelligences, with an eighth was added in 1999. And these, eighth and the ninth one was the existential intelligence. And these eight or nine intelligences can be grouped into the language related, person related, or object related. The linguistic and musical intelligences are said to be language related, since they engage both auditory and oral functions, and which Gardner argued was central to the development of verbal and rhythmic skill. And whereas we can see linguistic or the verbal linguistic intelligence manifested both orally and in writing is the ability to use words and language effectively. So on the basis of this, there are at least nine separate intelligences, and here we can go through it quickly. Like linguistic intelligence, which is related with verbal intelligence. Then there is musical intelligence, existential intelligence, spatial visual intelligence, logical mathematical intelligence, bodily kinesthetic movement related intelligence, interpersonal, which means the understanding of others, intrapersonal, the understanding of the self, naturalist, observing and understanding natural and human made patterns. So, this theory actually suggests that traditional psychometric views of intelligence are too limited. So, this is the reason why Gardner first outlined his theory in 1983, and he suggested that people have different kinds of intelligences. So, Gardner earlier proposed eight intelligences, and later on he added the ninth one, the existentialist intelligence. So, in order to capture the full range of abilities that and talents that people possess, Gardner, tried to give importance to intellectual capacity, and he believed while a person might be particularly strong in a specific area, such as musical intelligence, he or she most likely possesses a range of abilities. For example, an individual might be strong in verbal, musical, and naturalistic intelligence. So, individuals may excel in one of these nine areas but have no remarkable abilities in the other eight. Gardner contends that an intelligence is the ability to solve problems and create product or outcomes that are valued by a culture. Varying cultures and eras of history place different values on the nine intelligences. So there are different pros and cons and the issues which are related to multiple intelligence. Let us first discuss about the pros of multiple intelligence. And here we can see that all students will be seen as successful. So if we believe in the multiple intelligences, then we can say that all students have something to prove, they have different abilities, and they all can be seen as successful. All different talents of student will be appreciated. A variety of instructional practices can be used by the teachers while preparing lessons. So lessons are planned with more in a more thoughtful manner. And we can say that by going through multiple intelligences, we can meet individual needs, the other criterias, the needs expected of the particular class in better way. Then there are certain limitations also, like more time is needed for the preparation of the lesson, as we have to cater to every individual's need. We have to consider all the intelligences. Assessing students learning could be cumbersome. So this is very important, because the learning of the students cannot be assessed in a in a particular way, because there are different kind of intelligences, and one person may have different kind of intelligences. So what to measure and how to measure, this is a big question. Then the teachers of that particular class need to be united, and that is very difficult, because they all have to be aware of the particular intelligences which are present in the students of their classes. So for that, we have to initiate new techniques. We have to utilize the resources available, and this is there is a shortage of resources, the availability of resources, the support which all the teachers need from the institutions. So this is very important, that all people must be aware of this kind of theories. So Gardner's multiple intelligences has uh, derived a lot of criticism, and we can see that it has not received wide acceptance in the scientific community. And even though it has been embraced by many educators, but still there are certain, we can say, criticism. And the critics argue that Gardner's definition of intelligence is too broad, and that his eight different intelligences simply represent talents, personality traits, and abilities. So Gardner's theory also suffers from a lack of supporting empirical research. And these the theories which have been divided, the intelligences which have been divided by Gardner, is not considered as the intelligences, but rather it has been put into the category of talents or personality traits. So other intelligences which has been mentioned by Gardner has not been considered as new at all. So they believe that it has already been given by the theorist. Many researchers have identified verbal and special abilities as elements of intelligence. The eight intelligences are not independent, there are correlations among the abilities. So, logical, mathematical, and spatial intelligences are highly correlated. So, these separate abilities may not be separate after all. So, recent evidence of linking musical and spatial abilities has prompted Gardner to consider that there may be connections among the intelligences. So, in this way, Gardner has also tried to prove that his intelligences has certain meaning to it, and he has responded to critics by identifying a number of myths and misconceptions about multiple intelligences theory and the schooling part. So, one is that intelligences are the same as the learning styles. So, these are the characteristic approaches to learning and studying. Another misconception is that multiple intelligence theory disproves the idea of G, or the general ability. So, Gardner does not deny the existence of a general ability, but does question how useful G is as an explanation for human achievements. So, generally, it is believed that all human beings have the G part in them as a as a part of intelligence, the general ability. But certain theories say that there are the S part also, in which they have the specific abilities. So this is what multiple intelligence wanted to prove, that there in one person there can be different intelligences also. So actually it expands teachers thinking about the abilities, and avenues for teaching has prospered, and some educators embrace a simplistic version of this multiple intelligence. They include every intelligence in every lesson. So there are certain inappropriateness of making use of multiple intelligences in the classroom. So let us now discuss about the various kinds of intelligences which has been given by Gardner. And the first one is the linguistic or the verbal intelligence. And it is the capacity to use language, your native language, and perhaps other languages to express what's on your mind and to understand other people. So these are the certain criteria which are used for linguistic intelligence. They can understand words and manipulate the structure of language. It has highly developed communication skills. So the people who have this kind of intelligence, they are good at communication skills, including the writing part, speaking, and the storytelling part. They know and correctly uses the rules of grammar while speaking, writing, reading. They enjoy reading, writing, and speaking. They have a good sense of a good bank of vocabulary, large vocabulary. So this person learns best by saying, hearing, and seeing words, by writing, or by talking. So this is how they try to improve their linguistic verbal intelligence, and they are able to use words perfectly well, both perfectly in writing and speaking. And these individuals are typically very good at writing stories, memorizing information, and reading. So they have strengths in using of words, intelligence, and writing. And they have, they are able to remember written and spoken information. They enjoy reading and writing. They can participate well. They are not afraid of the debates, and they can give effective speeches. They are able to explain things well. They use humor when telling stories, because they are very good at playing their making use of different good words. And we can say that their these things, if we talk about, they are very good at. And we can say what different kinds of activities they can participate in, and they are very good at. So whatever is related with reading, writing, speaking, they are very good at. And the verbal linguistic learner have the effect, the teacher can prepare the activities for them. So the teacher can stress a curriculum based on language, reading, writing, and speaking. So this is how the particular subject, like curriculum across a language across curriculum, has been introduced in the teacher training program. Because the language is very much, the development of language is very much important for all students, and whether they are studying science, maths, or social studies, Hindi, English. So in all subjects you make use of language, and there some people may be very good in using language in reading, writing, and other parts. And some people will try to get better at these things. So the people, the potential careers which they can go through, and the talent which they have, is they can become poets, because it is all related to linguistic verbal intelligence. They can become authors, reporters, motivational speakers. Nowadays various motivational speakers are there, attorneys, um, talk show host, politicians, teachers or lecturers, writers, so journalists. This is how the people with this kind of intelligence can excel well in these areas. Then there is logical mathematical intelligence, and it says that it is the ability to understand numbers and logical concepts well, and the possession of the reasoning skills. So, people with logical mathematical intelligence are good at investigation and scientific processes. So, it can be learnt well by using logic. It can easily, the people with this intelligence can easily do maths in their heads. They are good at, if they want to play a game which is based on strategy, they can look for a rational explanations. They wonder how things work, because they want a reason behind everything. They want a logic behind everything. So they can develop many kinds of multimedia technology. They can take help from that, because they know how to utilize it. And students of every level can learn through interesting software programs that offer immediate information, because they want to learn how, when, why, so they can explore more. Albert Einstein and Bill Gates are example of people who developed very well with this intelligence. So here we can see that they are very good at analyzing problems. So the people who are very much strong in logical or mathematical intelligence are good at reasoning, recognizing of the patterns, logically of analyzing of problems. So these individuals tend to think conceptually about numbers, relationships, and patterns. So they are good at, the strengths of these kind of people are analyzing problems and mathematical operations. So people with logical mathematical intelligence have excellent problem solving skills. They enjoy thinking about the abstract ideas which are, not concrete, not present before them. They like conducting scientific experiments. They can solve complex computations. And we can say that the activities in which they are interested are synthesis, sequencing, rational thinking, scientific thinking. And the teacher can concentrate on concepts that are both logical and abstract. So, a deliberate effort can be made to focus on the fact that it is appropriate for students to be artistic and to think in intuitive leaps. So people who exhibit this kind of intelligence, they can choose different kind of careers, like they can be mathematicians, they can be engineers, they can be in the area of physics, they can become good researchers, they can adopt the area of astronomers, they can be scientists, they can be computer programmer or accountant. So wherever the logics, the numbers, the mathematical ability is required, they can go to that kind of field in their careers. Then there is special intelligence. So special intelligence actually is the brain's ability to perceive and interpret the visual stimuli. And what is that? In other words, it's how our minds process what we see. Okay. So although not very recognized, special intelligence is very important in the arts and in everyday life. And the people who are good at special intelligences, they are adequate, in both considering that what could be, at they are good at visualizing actually things. So these individuals are often good with directions as well as maps, charts, videos, and pictures. So their strengths are basically the visual and spatial intelligence. So they are able to conduct various kinds of activities, and these kind of activities, we can say here, see here that these kind of activities can regularly be done, and is regularly being done already in the schools. So this is related to spatial intelligence actually: designing of various brochures, making of collages, designs, drawings, preparation of flow charts, concept mapping, or making use of map, molding. We can say that how they can make use of maps in going through different directions, the clay patterns, painting, photography, sculpture, visualization, sketching, labeling. So the teacher can provide a great learning environment for these kind of learners, and the artistic students will do definitely well in the classroom, because while preparing, drawing a diagram also, you need a proper labeling, a proper neatness to be, used in that kind of preparation of diagram. So this is related to their artistic ability actually. And the characteristics of these kind of people are that they read and write for enjoyment. They are good at, assembling the puzzles. They interpret pictures, graphs, and charts very well. They enjoy drawing, painting, and the visual arts. They recognize patterns easily. And the potential career choices which can be adopted by them is: they can become sailors, the navigators, engineers, surgeons, sculptors, painters, cartographers who make use of, the maps, architects, artists. So these all fields are for them. Then the next kind of intelligence is bodily kinesthetic intelligence, and it means it is expertise in using one's own body, the body movement, to express ideas and feelings. For example, acting, dancing, sports, and using body language. So it is the ability to use one's hands to produce or transform things. So sculpting of clay, hands-on learning. So this can be done with the help of the people who have this kind of intelligence, and they have the physical control People who are strong in this area tend to have excellent hand eye coordination. So these kind of activities can be carried out for the people with this kind of intelligence, like the acting part, the collection, demonstration, experiments, where the movement is required, the field trips, the gymnastics. So the teacher can encourage experiential learning so that the students can move, take interest by going there and find out about things. And it may be a challenge to both the logical learner and the intrapersonal learner, because maybe they are not interested in moving around or expressing of ideas or feelings. They do not like dancing, they do not like the hands on learning. So this can help in all developing of body kinesthetic intelligence in all kind of students. So the strengths of such students with such intelligence can be physical movement and the motor control. And the characteristics of such people are they are skilled at dancing sports, they enjoy creating things with their hands, own hands, they have excellent physical coordination, they remember by doing rather than hearing or seeing. And they can adopt various kinds of careers like dance, they can be dancers, swimmers, acrobats, athletes, jugglers, instrumentalists, artisans. So these kind of areas can be adopted by such people, with people with such intelligence. Then there is musical intelligence, and people who have strong musical intelligence are good at thinking. They are able to distinguish the sounds around you, and they can make the ability to make their own melodies, even if they are only singing a song or making music. So they are using their own musical intelligence. They are good at rhythms, sound, making patterns, thinking in patterns. They have a strong appreciation for music and are often good at musical composition and performance. So they are able to perceive, discriminate, transform, express. So they have the rhythm and music in them. So all kinds of musical forms can be used. The effects of teaching learning styles on teaching is that the teacher will tend to have a relaxed classroom, but may find it harder to relate to those students who are not in tune with music. And various kinds of activities can be used in a classroom to enhance one's own musical intelligence, as music is a part of one of the subjects compulsory for all the students till 8th class, and is in somewhere in till higher education. And this is how with the use of the school bands, the instrumental sounds, listening, lyrics or the music depending on the mood, musical composition, concepts, performance, reproducing of the sounds, singing songs, vocal sounds, tonal, patterns. So these can be, encouraged. And the people with musical intelligence have following characteristics like they enjoy singing and playing musical instruments. They recognize musical patterns and tones easily. So they are actually have the rhythm in them. They remember songs and melodies. They have a rich understanding of musical structure, rhythm, and notes. So the potential career choices will be to become a singer, composer, instrumentalist, music conductor of the music concepts, people who enjoy, understand, use, create, perform, and appreciate music or elements of music. Then there is a next intelligence is interpersonal intelligence, and interpersonal intelligence is understanding other people. It's an ability we all need, but it has at a premium if you are a teacher. You have to do that if you are a teacher, a doctor, a politician, a salesperson. You have to have among you this kind of intelligence. So anybody who deals with other people has to be skilled in this interpersonal sphere. So be sensitive to the students who need to be alone in order to create, to learn, or just to be. So we can say interpersonal intelligence is mostly related to making good friends, speaking to others, speaking to unknown people, expressing your ideas whenever you want to. You are not an introvert, you are an extrovert in this way. So the teacher generally uses cooperative learning in the classroom. Students will feel free to interact and are expected to do so, perfect for the extrovert. And the people who have this kind of intelligence, they have a good understanding and relation. They can establish relationship with any people they meet, and they are not hesitant in doing so. So people with the interpersonal intelligence, they communicate well verbally. They are skilled at non-verbal communication also, and they see situations from different perspectives. They create positive environment relationships with others, and they resolve conflicts in group settings. So the people who have these kind of intelligence, they can become politicians, religious leaders, counselors. They can help people in helping professions. So they can be good problem solvers. So they can be psychologist, salesperson, and various other things. Then there is intrapersonal intelligence, and intrapersonal intelligence is self knowledge and the ability to act adaptively on the basis of that knowledge. So this intelligence includes having an accurate picture of oneself, what kind of strengths we have, what weaknesses we have. So we are aware of inner moods, intentions, motivations, our temperaments, our desires, and the capacity for self discipline, self understanding, and self esteem. So essentially, it's how well you know yourself. So this teacher will be for developing this kind of intelligence. The teacher will be a great support for the student who has trouble functioning in the groups, who are not able to understand their own weaknesses, their strengths. So this is very much important. In while teaching them, we have to teach them that how you can self assess yourself. So self assessment, peer assessment, this is also very important. You have to identify what are the strengths, weaknesses of others as well as of yours also. So the introspection and self reflection are the strengths of this kind of people, and the characteristics is they are able to analyze their strengths and weaknesses. They enjoy analyzing theories and ideas. They have excellent self awareness. They understand the basis for his or her own motivations and feelings. So people who have this kind of intelligence, they have they can become philosophers, they can be writers, they can be theory givers, they can be therapists, novelists. They can become sage also. So they can become scientists also. So these kinds of people, they develop on their own. They have to understand themselves. Then there is naturalistic intelligence. So it is the recent addition by Gardner, and it recognizes, and with this help, with its help, this is the more requirement of today's world, and the students can, name many different types of trees, flowers, plants. So whatever is present in our environment, the intelligence related to that is the naturalist intelligence. They have good interest and good knowledge of how the body works, and they try to be abreast of health issues. They are conscious of the nest, wildlife on a walk. They can read weather signs, so they are more related with the nature. They have understanding of interest of the main global environmental issues which require interest. If you have strong naturalist intelligence, you might learn better by studying outside, by sitting among the nature, smelling, seeing, touching, or tasting. You try to enjoy things, whatever is provided by environment. You try to observe the natural phenomena. You become happy just by hearing the sound or the chirping of the birds. So you try to find patterns and relationships to nature. So, according to Gardner, individuals who are high in this type of intelligence are more in tune with nature, and they are often interested in nurturing, exploring the environment, and learning about other species. These individuals are said to be highly aware of even subtle changes to the environment. So they are basically related, they are very sensitive to the environmental issues, and they just start with themselves and they try to motivate others also. So characteristics for such people is that they are interested in subjects like botany, biology, geology. They can categorize and catalog the information which is presented before them. They enjoy camping, they going out in the nature, they enjoy every activity which the environment gives. They like hiking, they like exploring, they want to travel more. They dislike learning unfamiliar topics that have no connection to the nature. So they want all the things which are related to nature. They like doing that. So the potential career choices for such students will be: they can become farmers, hunters, gardeners, animal handlers. We can say that hunters is not the correct profession now chosen to be nowadays. Botanist, geologist, the who are related with finding out more about the geography. So they can become conservationist, biologist. So this is how they can be more useful to in environmentalists who are more connected to the environment. Then the last intelligence is the existential intelligence, and which is the sensitivity and capacity to tackle deep questions about human, we can say, intelligence. So capacity to tackle deep questions about human existence. So people who exhibit developed existential intelligence include theologians, philosophers, spiritual advisors. So this is how they can the existence, the who can understand the very much existence of their as a human being in this world. So this is how we went through all the intelligence which has been given by the Harvard Gardner regarding the multiple intelligences. And those days are gone when the teachers were only relied on the IQ test to measure a student's intelligence. And it is very much important for the teachers also to know that how they can assess the other aspects of the students, the mental abilities, how they can develop full potential of a student. So this is not only you, if you want to help students develop their cognitive skills in a way that meets them at their strengths, and they try to cover up their weaknesses. So one of the best way is to do with the help of Gardner's multiple intelligences theory. And we have just now we have discussed that what are the different intelligences. And it is very important to they are independent of each other. These intelligences are independent, but this means that a child can be highly proficient in one intelligence and struggle with another. So, an athlete, for example, could have strong bodily kinesthetic and spatial intelligence, but poor musical intelligence. So, this also we need to take care of. That's why it's so important to use instructional strategies that involve a variety of these multiple intelligences. So, every child has the opportunity to learn in a way that works best for them. And for this, us teachers have to understand everything, that we have to cater to the individual needs of the students. And for this, we need to understand all kinds of intelligences which may be possible, which may be existing in the students of our today's classes. Yes, there are many obstructions for which we are not able to utilize this kind of strategy in our classroom. But it can be made effective also, because it can you will be able to reach every child in your classroom. And if there is certain disability with the student, that then you can also support or motivate student to be develop certain intelligence in them. So using multiple intelligences in the classroom it has proven helpful for such students who have certain learning disabilities like dyslexia and other learning disabilities. So not all students strengths are within traditionally valued types of intelligence, like just reading or the maths reasoning skills. So by discovering the intellectual gifts a student child already possesses, you can find ways to work with their existing strengths. You can try to motivate so that they can work on their strengths which they already have, and can help your slow learners in the classroom. So additionally, multiple intelligences theory can help aligning with such subjects which seems to be difficult for the students. And even the younger students can display their intelligences, and they can function independently. So when a student struggles with one skill, keeping the multiple intelligences theory in mind, a teacher can see a student's potential instead of just looking at the weaknesses. So we need to change our mindset, and in a classroom we need to understand what a student needs, and if we place ourselves in place of our students, then only we will be able to understand that what a student needs. Okay, so when you use this kind of theory, you can provide every student with different instructional strategies, and that work with their strengths and weaknesses. So we need to consider that the whole class is involved with that. Not only can this approach help students improve, but it can also help teachers change their perspective towards the slow learners or the students who have the disabilities. So by using these kinds of intelligences, we can help a lot these students who have different kinds of disabilities, who are uh, uh, not able to understand as much as the other students of the class are. So these are the different references which you can go through, and much work has been done in national, international level, especially, where you can find out more about the multiple intelligences and how you can work upon, preparing different instructional strategies in your classroom so that you can bring changes in your instructional way or the teaching style. Now let us move on to our evaluation questions part. And the first question is, who introduced the theory of multiple intelligence? And the options are Howard Gardner, Johnson, Steve Wilson, and Robinson. And here the correct answer is Howard Gardner, who gave this theory of multiple intelligence in 1983 in his book Frames of Mind. Next question is, people of this intelligence can talk to anyone, anywhere, at any time. So these are all application based questions. So we have to identify which kind of intelligence is this. The options are interpersonal intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence, naturalistic intelligence, or social intelligence. And the correct answer is interpersonal intelligence, because they can talk to anyone, anywhere. People with such intelligence, they try to understand others, so they are more comfortable in knowing others, even the unknown people. Next question is, these people are good at finding patterns and completing mathematical equations. They see relationships between numbers, but also between effects and causes. So the options are monistic intelligence, naturalistic intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence, logical mathematical intelligence. So the correct answer is logical mathematical intelligence, because they are good at reasoning part. They try to find out logic behind everything. They are good at finding patterns also. They are good with numbers basically. Next question is, individuals who like words and gravitate towards the rhythm, sound, or meaning of words. They are related to which kind of intelligence? That is, options are linguistic intelligence, oral intelligence, non-verbal intelligence, or negative intelligence. And the correct answer is linguistic verbal intelligence. So the people who are very good at, reading, writing, playing with the words, who have good vocabulary, they know the meaning of the words, the sound of the words can be, used correctly by them. So they are good at storytelling. They can make it interesting also. They can make use of humor also, just by making use of words. They can make anything interesting. So that is related to linguistic verbal intelligence. The next question is, a person that has naturalistic intelligence, the options are they can like cars, decorates well, works well with plants, or works well with children. So obviously we have discussed that they are more inclined towards the natural environment, and the person who is more inclined to naturalistic intelligence will work well with plants, with the nature, align well with the nature. Next question is, Ria has high interpersonal intelligence. So it can be told by how fast she reads a book, she makes friends quickly, she speaks to the dog, how great she cooks. So the correct answer is she makes friends quickly. So interpersonal intelligence we have discussed, this is about knowing others well. We can the people who have this kind of interpersonal intelligence, they can just by talking they can influence anyone, convince anyone. So if she is able to make friends quickly, that means that she has that interpersonal skill within her. Then the next question is, intrapersonal intelligence means, the options are, I am an extremely outgoing person, I am really good at sports, I am really good at arts, I am able to understand myself well. So this we have discussed that intrapersonal intelligence is related to the introspection and the self-reflection part. And here the student can, the person can say that I am able to understand myself well. So this is related to intrapersonal intelligence, where they are able to understand what are the weaknesses and strengths, within ourselves. The next question is, which two intelligences were added by Howard later? So the answers are the options are naturalist intelligence, existential intelligence, musical intelligence, or both A and B. And the correct answer is the naturalist intelligence and the existential intelligence were later on added by Howard Gardner. And they were originally given, he gave 7 intelligence in starting. The next question is, the piano player displayed amazing dash intelligence. So what kind of intelligence is being displayed by the piano player? So here we can easily identify the options are spatial intelligence, musical intelligence, naturalist intelligence, or the interpersonal intelligence. And the correct answer is the musical intelligence. So anything which is related with the music, the tone, the rhythm, and obviously if the musician is trying to play the, if it is he or she is a piano player, so they are displaying amazing musical intelligence here. And the last question is, sailors, pilots, sculptors, painters display dash kind of intelligence. The options are musical, spatial intelligence, spacious intelligence, or the congested intelligence. And the correct answer is spatial verbal intelligence, where they are able to do the abstract thinking. For example, we have given enough examples like the sailors, pilots, sculptors, painters. Also, we can say architects who are able to visualize in a way which has not been visualized by anyone. So the designers, we can say, whoever wants to do creative work, whoever wants to you know um, um, look into the space in which none other person has been looking into, they are showing the spatial kind of intelligence. So thus with this we come to the end of our topic, and hope you will go through all the references, and you will try to find out more about the multiple intelligences as given by the Gardner. And with this, we come to the end. And thank you very much, and see you in the next class.